Aren't you behaving like Pharaoh in the time of Moses? You are reducing the straw they need for making the bricks, and yet you insist that they increase their target and do better. Because when you came in first, some taxes were slashed, and there have been other tax announcements that have ostensibly made things better for business people. How do you react to those who say you are making it hard for your tax administrators to meet their targets? Because whilst you are making some citizens happy, on one hand, their job becomes more difficult. And Mr. Kofi-Ntah didn't tell me to ask this question. I'm asking it to myself. We haven't even discussed any question. I'm just asking whether you're not making it harder for them by those tax reductions and the targets that they've been set.
Well, why don't I make Kofi-Ntah the Pharaoh and tell him to let my people go? Bernard, and Kofi-Ntah himself will tell you that we have somewhere around a 13% revenue to GDP ratio, which ostensibly means that compared to our peers, we are almost like 7 percentage points below. So we clearly are not doing enough, okay? And therefore, the challenge is the solution for me is not one of high taxes. It has to be a level in which people will voluntarily pay. There's going to be a squeeze, but it's the same supplier response we got when we first came into government, and that changed. So what am I expecting to happen? I'm expecting that then if our judiciary is empowered, right now you can prosecute without fear or favor because really the taxes are low. But I think more importantly now is the new regime that Kofi began to describe. How do we get technology to play a key role in that? By the time we finish with Professor Tefa's national ID system, you are getting the data you require. So that I can now begin to use big data and blockchain, where therefore you go and you buy an airline ticket, you register a car, you get a certain board fees. I'm able to put all that together and actually send you your tax requirements for the month or for the year. And so you can see this gap that we can fill if compliance comes in. So really, I think it's a movement towards that, and government showing good faith that it is not a pernicious government or a coercive government. But with that, I think if I then prosecute somebody, I think the sympathy will be much lower.
Brilliant, thank you. So, second question. I hear you. You are saying citizens have a role to play in nation building. We get it. But how do we get incentivized to pay tax when people we perceive to have wasted our money don't get punished? I'll give you two instances. You've already mentioned the amount of money you spent in saving the banking sector, in excess of 12 billion. But there are people whose actions or inactions led to that collapse. We don't know if any of them has refunded any money or has been punished properly. Number two, only last week, people started saying, Special Prosecutor, we are not hearing anything from you. We set up the office to go after corrupt officials. This is the second year and a few months of the administration. We haven't heard much, except today, Daily Graphic. Somebody has been questioned. How do you expect us to willingly pay when people we were told wasted our money have not been punished?
You know, I think that's a really good question. And it's a question that, my wife is a clinical psychologist. And she does not make me sleep with the same question. So I hear it at home all the time. I think we should, be more aggressive about prosecutions. There's no question about that. We at the government, as you know, gave the special prosecutor all the resources, and I suspect that when Mr. Amidu gets on the road, we'll all be shivering on that. I think there's work going on. It might be slow, but the wheels of justice are slow. But truly, so that's one part. Why do citizens behave properly? Yeah, there could be prosecution, there could be delivery of services, there could be education. So to look at one aspect and then say that, well, I'm not going to comply, is also a challenge for nation building. But you are right. I mean, prosecution is going to be an important facet of this, because I have to protect the public purse from where I sit, and therefore I expect prosecutions to happen.